After a road edition, we're back in the Hat-Tricks Lounge for catching up with McCreary. I'm Doug Lattuca alongside Hat-Tricks head coach Billy McCreary. First off, Coach, happy holidays. Hope that you and the family are doing well. How did you enjoy the holiday party last night right in this exact spot?
Yeah, it was great. Good to be back home. Good to see all of our fans, and just a nice time of year. And great to see everybody. And big 2 games here this weekend that hopefully we can kick off. The holiday spirit on the right foot.
Before we jump into the games, what happened last weekend, what's going to happen this weekend, there were a lot of elements to last night's holiday party. You had the food, you had some TKs, some Domino's pizza, you had some music. What was your favorite thing from last night's holiday party with the players and fans?
Yeah, I just think seeing all the players and fans kind of intermingle and get to talk, and it's such a big part of this level. And the minor pro game. It's a big reason why a lot of people enjoy it more than going to the Rangers or the Devils or the Bruins. There's just more personal aspect, and the fans get to know the players, and it just kind of creates a different level of appreciation. So it was great to see all the fans out last night, and great to see that family atmosphere that we always talk about.
Fans very passionate. Most likely, a lot of them watched both games on the road last weekend, first in Binghamton, then in Elmira. Didn't come away with any points in those games. What were some of the takeaways in those 4-2 losses?
Well, I think in both games we went through stretches where we played some really good hockey, and right now we're just not getting the bounces, and like you said, we're not getting the points. But it's still early on, and it's a really long season, so it's about kind of taking the wins where we can and creating the energy that we need to create. And I thought that Elmira game was a dominant performance for us, and their goalie played great. So you got to tip your hat to them, and you got to take it as a learning experience. And when you do come up against a good goaltender, what are some things that we can do to break that goalie? And certainly we were able to get through some of those moments, against Elmira on Saturday night, but we need to do it on a higher rate. So just a good learning experience all in all, and another good test this weekend.
And a conversation that we had a lot in the beginning of the season that hadn't really come up over the last couple of weeks was those 2 to 5, even 7-minute spans where you guys kind of got away from the game. You had that lead against Elmira in the third period about midway through, and then 3 unanswered goals. Of course, the empty netter at the end to seal it. Was it just that little stretch that you didn't like from that one game, or was there more from that Elmira game that structurally you'd like to change?
I thought structurally we were pretty good, and when you talk about those 2 to 7 minute spans where we kind of get away from things, I thought against Elmira it was really, probably only like 2 or 3 shifts, like 2 or 3 moments, and they seemed to really bite us. So, again, it's a good challenge for us because I thought it was a dominant performance in a lot of ways, but as soon as you get a little overconfident, anybody can hurt you at this level. So, good lesson to learn, and we're just going to continue to do what we've been doing here, and we believe that if we continue to buy into our process and stick to our process, that eventually we're going to break through here.
Yeah, and you guys carried a 2-game winning streak into that New York State weekend series. We mentioned the Elmira game, the 2 goals in about a 2-minute span to end up dropping that game 4-2. Defensively, we've definitely touched on that a bunch over the last couple of weeks with some absences, suspensions, people going to the SPHL, which has been a common theme this week specifically. It's been 8 straight games where you guys have allowed 3+ goals. And in games where you've allowed 3+, you guys have 2 wins and 7 losses. Is it something on the defensive end that needs to be corrected? Is that just the way that the league is, more offensive, or are there some things that you found on the defensive side that you can shore up?
A little bit of everything, really. I mean, this level is certainly more offensive than defensive. We've always kind of stuck with the theme that if we can make 2 goals or less our goal, we're going to have a really good chance to win. But like you talked about, when you get into that 3-4 goal column, now you need to depend on, your offense, your power play, things like that. So we've had, we've outshot teams. We've had good opportunities. It just doesn't seem to be falling for us right now. And, it's tough to say, but you can't get frustrated. You just got to keep going. You got to keep working at it, keep showing up at practice and doing what we can do to work on those details. And, hopefully that those bounces start to come our way.
You mentioned the power play, which I want to touch on in a moment, but we saw a different starting goaltender for the first time in quite a while. It was not Connor McCollum against Binghamton. It was Liam Murray, his first action since being acquired from Mississippi. Performed pretty well, even though he's not listed on the FPHL stats. It's still under McCollum's numbers, but we'll have that corrected. But for Murray, what'd you like against the Black Bears? A really solid team. He made 35 saves in that one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're one of the more offensive teams in this league, and it was a really good test for him. And I thought he was excellent for the course of the 60 minutes. I mean, I'm sure there's some moments and some saves that he'd like back, but again, that's all part of being an athlete, and you got to look back and kind of make those adjustments. But I thought he competed really well. He made some huge saves for us, and really gave us an opportunity to win that game. And certainly would have liked to get a little bit more support from our power play or our offensive production, but it was a good opportunity for him to go in and show what he could do, and I thought he competed to a really, really high level.
McCollum was back in net the next night. Some decisions to make this weekend with Port Huron coming to town. Back to the power play. You guys have power play goals in 3 straight games, but you've been given a lot of power play opportunities over that span and really all season long. You've cashed in, so there's some positives there. What have you liked? What started to click a little bit with both of your units? Because both of them have had some good opportunities.
Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit more confident and comfortable with what we're looking to do. And, I think the more we outwork teams and we really communicate as a 5-man unit, we're really effective. But when we get complacent, or we don't want to outwork the PK, it becomes a little bit of a struggle for us. So, I believe that a lot of it is, kind of between our ears. But, like you said, we've had some success here the last 3 games. So really we want to focus on building off of our success. And, that's a focus there. And we just got to continue to stick with the process. And, hopefully a 1-goal power play game turns into a 2 or 3-goal power play game here at home. And, you earn 3 points and you start to feel good about your game and feel a little bit more confident. And then that rolls into a Saturday night and maybe you experience a little bit more. So it's really just building off of those successes. And like you said, I mean, we've had a little bit of success here the last few games. So hopefully we can keep that going.
And you lose 2 of your top power play producers, Sam Dabrowski to the SPHL, Corey Cunningham gone for 4 games due to a suspension. You didn't have many other guys who have been scoring on the power play, so you'll have to find some other guys to step in. Do you have some of the players that you have in mind who are going to either maybe slide up from the unit 2 or some other guys that will fill in?
Yeah, I mean, certainly an opportunity for more guys. Some guys that have been really working on the PK for us are going to have an opportunity in the power play here, and it's exciting to see what they're going to be able to do. But I think, I think it's really just a matter of working as a unit, and whoever is able to be the trigger puller and cash in for us. I don't think it's really one guy we're looking for to be our producer. But Stochevsky, I think, had a power play goal last game. So we've got some guys that are finding that success and they're finding that comfortability, and we just need to keep grinding away at it.
On the other end of special teams, 4 power play goals against in the last 2 games over the weekend in Binghamton and Elmira. That's typically been a strong point for you guys. We've mentioned that carrying over from last year, one of the more penalized teams in the league, and you use your strong penalty kill to help you guys 5-on-5, and then when you do get on the power play. Has there been anything you've noticed, maybe some cracks in the unit, or just some bounces not going your way and just not working out?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, there's that Binghamton game, there was a few touches that we had that could have sprung us offensively, and it just didn't work out for us, whether it's hitting the stanchion or just taking a bounce. And then situationally too, I mean, they scored at the end of their power play, and it was just kind of a funky bounce that kept them alive, and a puck on net, and they cash in at home. So, we just got to continue to work through it. We can't overthink things. We just got to stick to our process and, maybe tighten up between the ears a little bit situationally. But, again, it's a little bit of a process, and we'll certainly get there.
Want to mention some of the transactions this week, and it will get fun at the end of the interview. But we do have to talk about the transactions and the in and outs, and a lot of players out, and I'm assuming a couple in, and for good reasons, though. 3 players to the SPHL. McDonald did make the trip with the hat tricks last weekend. He's up with the Rail Yard Dogs. Then you've got Sam Dabrowski, another stint in Pensacola, and Bedard with the Marksmen. So congratulations to those guys, of course, and that means they played pretty well here in Danbury. Definitely on the defensive end, some areas to fill. How do you plan to do that, and kind of what's your takeaway with all those guys going up to the next level?
Well, it's all a part of being at this level, right? So, it's a tremendous opportunity for those guys, and it's also a tremendous opportunity for some guys here that haven't had that opportunity previously. So, it's tough with the roster restrictions this year, but that's why it's so important to really find the guys that are willing to buy into the process and be a part of that process. And, you look at a kid like Wooly who, had a 4-game PTO here, hasn't played in a few weeks, and now because of all of these roster changes, he's a local kid, wants an opportunity to be here, and now he's kind of back in the mix. So, you'll see him on the power play, you'll see him with an opportunity to really show what he can do, and be a part of the fabric here. So it's a great opportunity for everybody involved, and certainly makes my job a little bit harder. But like I always tell these guys, we're here to serve them as an organization. We're here to help them achieve their dreams. We're here to help them learn how to be leaders on and off the ice. And, that's what we commit to. So great opportunity for those guys. They're not the only ones. We almost lost 1 or 2 more, which would have made things a little bit more difficult. But, who knows? Hopefully I don't have to tie the skates this weekend. But, we've got some guys that are willing to jump in and help us get through this time of the year here.
It's happened once. Hopefully it doesn't have to happen again. But maybe you'll actually take a shift. You did sit in the penalty box.
Yeah.
Would you want to take a shift if you had to dress? Or
I'd love to, but when you trust those guys like you do, I mean, we won that game, and I haven't played competitively in probably 6-7 years. So would I love to go out there? Yeah, I'd love to. But I also trust those guys to get the job done.
We'll stick to the beer league for now. Is that fair?
I don't even play in the beer
league.
Not
the beer league.
No,
just coaching and being a general manager and winning games as he's done since the very start. Spoke about the SPHL losses, some suspensions we have to mention. Daniel Amesbury still out. He's at the very beginning of that 18-game suspension, still has a long way to go. Won't return until a couple months from now. But Corey Cunningham, that incident in Elmira, gone for 4 games. What did you see during that play? Because it was kind of in a scrum and after the whistle. Was there something that you identified as something that should result in a 4-game suspension?
I just thought it was a really unfortunate play. It was a net front battle that he ended up losing, and kind of, went back, fell straight back, onto kind of his rear end and his back. And, initially his skate didn't come up, and he was kind of in a defenseless position with the player standing over him. And I don't think there was any intent to a kick at all. I think it was almost him being stood over by somebody who is, looked like he had intent to do something there. And I think he was just trying to protect himself and got himself into a little bit of a sticky situation. So he's a great kid. I mean, he's a tremendous competitor. He's a skilled player. There's no malicious intent there. So it's unfortunate that his first suspension is a 4-game suspension. Yeah. But listen, when you play in Danbury, you're going to get those things. So we're used to it. Unfortunately, he's learning a tough lesson as a good young rookie in this league. But he'll be back, and you'll see his name on the score sheet, and you'll see his name on the spotlights of the league page someday. So he'll get back at it here pretty soon.
And we failed to mention that in Elmira, you guys addressed 14 position players. That went down to 13. So you played 2.5 periods practically without a lot of options, right? A lot of players gone. You were without Chase Harwell, who was not with the team that night. You also only dressed 5 defensemen. So definitely a lot of pieces to juggle and lack of availability just based on the ejection and some guys out. We shift to this weekend. You're back home for 2 before the holidays. Port Huron comes to town. They play 2 games out of 5 here in Danbury. It's a 5-game season series. What have you seen from them? What should we expect from a Prowlers team that's sitting a little bit at the bottom of the Continental right now?
Well, before we get there, I kind of want to touch on what you just mentioned before about the suspensions and getting down to, I think, 13 guys. And it's funny, like it's not funny, it's unfortunate, because you just try to commit to a process here, and within the league, it can be tough to do that. Like if you look at the Amesbury incident that put him out for 18 games, the next morning, it was like 4 hours later, we have an incident report and an email from the league on the ruling, and you flip back to what we went through against on Friday night against Binghamton, and then you turn the page to Elmira. Nobody told us anything until about 2:30, 3 o'clock the next day.
We were on the bus, and we found out.
And you're playing a 6 p.m. game.
Yeah.
And it's so when you're trying to commit to being at the level that we want to commit to being at, you expect other people to kind of give you the opportunity to do that, right? So it was really unfortunate that the Cunningham situation ended up being in that game, because we were shorthanded as it was.
Yeah, Jared Yao was suspended for 1 game from the Binghamton game, so that was all found out around 2:30 Eastern for a 6 o'clock puck drop in Elmira. So that definitely handcuffed you.
Again, so when you're just looking for a little bit of consistency, whether you get an email about a suspension at 9 a.m., 7 hours after a game, or are you not getting an email and you have to check a transactions page? But it's it is what it is at this level, and you got to find a way to have success through it. You can't make those excuses, but it was just a tough situation to be in. But with Port Huron coming into town, like you mentioned, they're a good team. They're highly offensive, so we are going to have to commit to being, disciplined, stay out of the box. We want to keep them off their power play. That's where they're comfortable, but we also have to go out. We have to outwork them. We have to be the more physical team, and we got to create the energy in our building. And, we all know what the expectations are and how to create that energy. It's just about finding a way to do that and finding the guys that are willing to do that.
Hattrick's hoping to get 2 wins this weekend. Fun part, holidays around the corner. We'll do a little rapid fire, quick holiday themed questions. First one, favorite holiday movie?
Favorite holiday movie? Gonna go with Elf.
That's a good choice. Thought you were going to say Die Hard and be a little controversial. Some people believe it is. I'd say most do not. All right, there's question 1. Question 2, favorite holiday song?
Little Drummer Boy.
Okay. Favorite food during the holidays, this one specifically, so around Christmas, Hanukkah, things like that?
Favorite Christmas food? I would say a ham.
Okay. Favorite gift you've ever received?
Favorite gift I've ever received? My grandmother always used to give me like sweet potatoes or honey mustard or some sort of food that I would carry with me.
Okay, that's interesting. What did you get Isla and William for Christmas this year?
We haven't stopped getting those gifts yet, but we're trying to stay away from the noisemakers and all that stuff, and just keep a nice, quiet, consistent home here. So
yeah, what are the plans for the weekend?
We'll probably
after the games, of course.
Yeah, probably head down to Jersey and spend some time with the in-laws, and just try to get away for a couple days and enjoy some family time.
All right, so if you guys get 2 wins, I'm assuming it will be pretty good, right? Everyone will have a nice, happy holidays. You will have a happy holiday if
the boys play Danbury hockey, commit to playing together, and send the fans off on a good holiday break.
Hattrick's hoping that there's 2 wins under the tree. They play the Prowlers on Friday and Saturday here at the Danbury Ice Arena. You can get your tickets at danburyhattricks.com.